Burch was rushed to the hospital Thursday after what the university is calling a catastrophic medical emergency.
After he was found late Wednesday night, unconscious on the floor of the Kappa Sigma fraternity house.
A report just released by the Morgantown police shows Burch had a blood alcohol content of 0.49.
Guys was intoxicated, the lips are blue.
I think they did a really good job at presenting a obviously very tragic incident, and they take the time to explore that and sort of deep dive into that particular situation and the circumstances around it, but also just the overarching problem in college campuses with fraternities and the sort of hijinks that unfortunately lead to things like this. So yeah, the film itself does a great job at presenting that and highlighting the things that need to be highlighted.
Very important film, although it was very hard for me to watch. Being in college, I've definitely heard a lot about hazing and the dangers of it. We learn a lot. There's never anything good that I've ever heard about hazing. So this film is just another example of how heartbreaking that can be and how damaging the results can be with that. Hearing about his passing was also very hard because I know this is something that unfortunately happens way too often. It was really disgusting and just hard to hear about what could have happened to save him and how many people could have helped him, but just didn't. But I also think that films like this are very important because it makes you realize how real this is and how this can happen to anyone and any friend and anywhere. So I think that although this film was very hard to watch and was very painful to watch, I think it's very important. And I think more college students specifically should watch it so that they can be more aware of the dangers of drinking and especially hazing.
This was an extremely heavy film to watch, and the opening was extremely disturbing, and it should have been. I think that was important to let us automatically sink into the severity of the topic that we're going to be engaging with, and to get the ball rolling, because young adults need to know this. This should be necessary viewing for high schoolers, for those going to post-secondary, for those going on a night out at a party, so they can avoid these very much avoidable circumstances. I thought they made a really effective argument with the actual footage of the event, which you can't argue with. The interviews of the parents were so heartbreaking, and the variety of experts and authors that they brought on to talk about hazing culture and the different components of that made for a very well-rounded, powerful film. And its message was loud and clear.
Its ability to level with its viewers and capture the gravity of Nolan's death. It was just pure negligence. Every expert agreed, his parents agreed, it could have been prevented. It was needless. This is one example where there was actually footage caught on tape and some students cooperated with the police in order to tell the truth. But imagine the others that don't get reported. I thought that the statistics were really helpful to shed the light on the situation, delivered with really interesting visuals, and also all interviews and all expert opinions definitely describe the severity of Nolan's situation. As a young kid who has low alcohol tolerance, probably this is his first of few times, experimenting. And unfortunately, those people around him didn't care about him, unfortunately.
Seriousness of this problem that we have, especially in America, that it made the rest of what they were telling you actually cared about it. Because I think that part of the points that they were making is not only are people not educated properly about alcohol consumption, alcohol poisoning, the difference between types of alcohols, all of these things. But it's like they were saying with the like, oh, I never thought it would happen to me, I didn't think it would happen to me, the code of silence, the you could walk out if you wanted to, all of these other things, that it's horrible and unfortunate, but sometimes when you hear stories so often, you don't connect with them as much as you should, and you don't get the context of them as much necessarily. So I think that putting it in such like intense and dynamic and extreme examples really did show you the true danger of it, and really helped you to like actually, you know, carry it with you, take the lessons that they're trying to give you.
It's just quite staggering because it has such a lengthy and unfortunate history with a sizable body count associated with it. So that's one of the initial impressions you get from it, of why haven't we, through government, through law, found a way to curb this epidemic that honestly happens on college campuses in regards to drinking in these frats and sororities, etc. Nolan's story, I think what's great about the way the documentary positions his story is that it does it with reasonable intentions, important and reasonable intentions, meaning this isn't this isn't from the perspective of arrogance or ignorance. You know, his parents even acknowledge, we understand that they're going to drink. We understand they're going to party. We understand that their frats and sororities are going to continue to exist. What we are talking about is accountability. What we are talking about is preventative measures. What we are talking about is bare morality of the people who are in these frats and sororities to be able to do something when a situation turns dire, and to not allow it to turn dire by being more responsible. So it isn't, it's not like the argument sometimes between abstinence and safe sex or whatever. It's not as if they are ignoring the fact that these students will drink, but they are asking them to be accountable, to show the adult intelligence that they seem to feel they have enough to drink, than to drink responsibly.
I get chills just even like saying the title out loud, because the title is very powerful, especially once you've watched the film. I think that there's so many things to say about this. If we're talking about frat life and Greek life and the issues that can arise from that, where your allegiance is to this house, this community of people that are putting a title above human life. And it could have been any one of those boys in this situation. So they're willing to protect their names and their brothers when it just as easily could have been them. And it's such a shame. And I think that we glorify drinking and partying, and I don't think that enough people are educated on the signs of alcohol poisoning and when is funny and when is too much, where like we don't know where to draw that line. And in the case of here, I mean, he was treated with such utter disrespect, first of all, but the fact that he was just left there by himself is just an absolute shame. The film footage was great. I mean, they had the actual footage from the day, from when the crime happened, which was absolutely hard to watch. But we also had the interrogation footage. We had interviews with the parents. Kind of had a little bit of everything sprinkled in. So in terms of a documentary, it had all of the elements that it needed to tell a really powerful story, and it absolutely did. My heart goes out to the parents of this boy, and anyone else who has been affected.